Hi there, welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. You need something to write with and something to write on. We do English sayings that teach some English and also teach a little bit of wisdom, I hope. We got a weird saying today, and this is a weird conversation I'm about to have with you, because we had a saying just maybe the last time or a couple times ago, which was, you can fool some of the people all the time, all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Well, this saying is going to be about that. It's about getting fooled. Okay? It's about getting fooled. What do you do when you deal with somebody who's trying to trick you? That's what this saying is about. What do you say? I remember years ago I was in a city called New Orleans. New Orleans is a city in America down on the Gulf of, well, we call it now the Gulf of America, down on the Gulf of Mexico in a state called Louisiana. And it's down on the Mississippi River, where the Mississippi flows into the Gulf of Mexico. And it's unlike any other city in America. It's all about parties. They have a street down there called Bourbon Street, which is a party every single day. Maybe every day. I don't know about Christmas, if they party down there or not. I bet they probably do. Anyway, the party starts around noon, and it just goes all the way in through the night. And then there's no party really in the morning, and it starts up around noon the next day. It just is every day. And every morning they get out and clean it up, and then around noon it starts again. They got great big bands with horns and drums, and that'll just be out in the middle of the street with like a huge band, and they got a bucket out in front of them, and you put money into it, and they'll just be playing. People dancing. They got huge, it's unlike anything else in America. They got big lines of fortune tellers. You can go to a park, and they'll just be lined up with chairs and tables, and you just go sit down and then, give them some money, and they tell you your fortune and stuff like that. You don't see that anywhere else in America. I'm sorry. It's just different. New Orleans is different. Well, I went there one time just to experience it. It was nice. I mean, I partied along with everybody else and had a good time. And I was thankful that I didn't run into any trouble, because there's a lot of trouble in New Orleans. There's a lot of crime, people doing no good. And there's a lot of con artists down there, people who are trying to fool people. I had it happen to me. Some guy walks up to me. I was standing on the corner, and he says, "Hey." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll bet you $5 that I can tell you where you got your shoes." I said, "Okay, hit me. Where did I get my shoes?" Where? He says, "You got your shoes right here on Bourbon Street in New Orleans." Well, it was true. I had my shoes on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. It was kind of a play on words. He kind of tricked me. Now, I said, all right, fine, I'll give him $5. If I had not have given him the $5, my guess is some thug would have come up and given me a hard time. This guy, he was an old guy who probably shaken down people, probably made $50 a day doing that to people. That was probably his job. He was doing a little scam on people, but it was friendly. He wasn't taking a lot of money. He probably needed the $5 more than I did. Well, anyway, now this happened to me one time. Naturally, if I went back and the same guy asked me the question again, what do I say? I could just walk away. Well, that would probably be kind of rude. I could say, "No, I'm not interested." That'd be fine. But I could make a joke out of it too, and kind of establish a little bit of rapport with the guy. Rapport is like camaraderie. Like we'd be friends. Here's what I would say. This might be a way that you deal with people who are trying to trick you. That's what this lesson is about. What do you say to people who are trying to trick you without being rude about it or making a big deal about it? Here's what you might say, and we're going to introduce a whole new word in this lesson. A very common word in English that is not proper. So it'll be fun. I'll tell you what. We know that we can shorten up "I will" into "I'll" with an apostrophe. I will is shortened up into aisle with the apostrophe. We kick out the W-I in will and make it aisle. Look at this. We got a double L here in aisle and a double L here in tell. I'll tell you what. Well, this saying alone is quite powerful. If you just stopped it here, a lot of times people get the message. I do this all the time. If people are doing something I don't like, I do this all the time, especially when I was a teacher. I used to use this all the time. I just said, I'll tell you what. And then I wouldn't say anything else. And they'd get the message. If you got somebody trying to scam you or trying to trick you or trying to fool you, you can just use this right here. I'll tell you what. And then you just don't say anything else. I tell you what. They get the message. They get the message. But if you want to just add a little wrinkle onto it, here's what you do. I'll tell you what. Comma. There's a pause. You kind of just leave them hanging. They're like, what are you going to tell me? Here we go. Here's what you're going to tell them. This ain't. What is that? I think that's where you put the apostrophe. Ain't my first and we got a Mexican, or not a Mexican, a Spanish word in here. Rodeo. You say to this person who's trying to fool you, I'll tell you what, this ain't my first rodeo. What in the heck does this mean? We know about I'll tell you what. We know that's a silent H there in what. We know that when we have a WH, we're either the W or the H is going to be silent. In this case, the H is silent. This, we know that word. How about this? Ain't. Ain't is improper English. It's slang, but you hear it all the time. What is ain't? Ain't is a way of saying all kinds of different no's or nots. Listen, you can use it like all this kind of stuff. I'm going to write it up here. I ain't going to do it. That means instead of saying I'm not going to do it, you just say I ain't going to do it. Or you can use it that way. Instead of I am not, you can use I ain't. You could also use you ain't going to do it. Instead of saying you are not or you aren't, you can use ain't. And this is just slang, okay? It's not proper English. Also, they aren't going to do it. You can use ain't. They ain't going to do it. Now listen, I could also use it like it instead of saying isn't, like he isn't going to do it. I could say he ain't going to do it. Pretty much any negative, darn near, anything for is not or are not, will not, maybe not will not, because that'd be won't. Can I change won't into an ain't? He won't do it. He ain't. No, I guess I can. I use it mostly for is not or isn't or aren't or I'm not. Yeah. I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not doing it. I ain't doing it. Yeah. Yeah. You can use this word ain't. I'm trying to think about it. How many times you can use this sentence in different combinations. It's unbelievable. You can use this word ain't like for anything negative darn near. That horse ain't going to jump. That horse isn't going to jump. That horse ain't going to jump. Those apples ain't going to sell. Those apples are not going to sell. They're not going to, people won't buy them. Do you follow me on this? How much you can use this word ain't? Well, I hope it makes sense of the fact that you don't have to use all these different combinations of letters like I am not going to say that. I ain't going to say that. She is not going to say that. She ain't going to say that. They aren't going to say it. They ain't going to say it. That boy is not going to go to school. That boy ain't going to go to school. You can use this word ain't to cover all those different negatives. I know I've gone on too long about it, but I hope it makes sense. Ain't is slang. It's not proper English. My first rodeo. What's a rodeo? Rodeo is where all the cowboys get together and can compete on riding bulls and riding wild horses and roping calves. I'll put up pictures of the rodeo, okay? It's a big thing where the cowboys all get together, who are from all the different ranches and from all over the countryside, and they all come together to a stadium where there's a bunch of bulls and horses and calves, and they bring their saddles and cowboy hats and boots, and they compete to see who can ride the bulls and ride the wild horses and rope the cattle the best. And they have barrel racing, where they put 3 barrels out in the middle of the stadium, and they see who can race around the barrels the fastest. Sometimes they have a crazy event where they have chuck wagon racing. They let a bunch of, it's the craziest darn thing. They'll hook the horses up to wagons, and they'll literally have a wagon race around the arena, chuck wagon race. It's unbelievable. They have great big crashes. Extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. They go out there and catch wild horses and try to put a saddle on them and ride them. It's an absolute madhouse. A rodeo is a madhouse. I don't like it anymore because I don't like what they do if they hurt the animals. And I also don't like it when the cowboys get hurt. So it's not my thing. But it's incredible what they can do at the rodeo. I'll tell you what, this ain't my first rodeo. This has turned into another one of my long lessons. I went on too much. This is what you say to somebody who's trying to scam you, trying to fool you, trying to trick you. Like this guy on the street. If I went back to New Orleans and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, I'll bet you $5 I can tell you where you got your shoes," I would say, "I'll tell you what, this ain't my first rodeo," and they would know that this had happened to me before, and they say, "Oh, you've been here before, huh?" "Yes, I have." "Yeah, I have." Do you follow me? It's a good saying to have in your pocket to deal with people who want to try to trick you. You'd also use this, let's say if you wanted to go buy a car, and let's say you researched online and you knew that the car that you wanted to buy cost $10,000. $10,000. And you went to the car lot and you found the car that you wanted to buy, and the car salesman said, "Yeah, we'll sell you this car for $15,000. Well, what do you say? You would say, "I tell you what, this ain't my first rodeo." And he'd be like, "Huh?" Yeah, you'd say, "Yeah, I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to get me to spend an extra $5,000 on this car. I know what this car is worth. Sell it to me for what it's worth. I know it's worth $10,000. This ain't my first rodeo." He'll be like, "Oh, all right. Okay, $15,000 is too much. Yeah, well, let's see. How about $11,000? And you'd be like, "Okay, Now we're talking. Now we're getting in the ballpark. That's another good saying right there. Now we're in the ballpark. I'll do that one soon. I'll tell you what, this ain't my first rodeo. There you go. Now I'm going to shut up because I know I've gone on too long.